The day the aliens came was just like any other day. The sun rose, people went to work, and life went on as usual. But high above Earth, something strange was happening. A big spaceship appeared near the moon. It was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ship was shiny and smooth, with no visible engines or windows. It just hung there, silent and mysterious. At first, only a few people knew about it. The world's space agencies saw it on their screens and couldn't believe their eyes. They called their bosses, who called their bosses, until finally the news reached the highest levels of government. In New York, at the United Nations building, people were running around in a panic. Nobody knew what to do. This had never happened before. There was no rule book for meeting aliens. Then, a message came from the alien ship. It was in perfect English, which was scary all by itself. The message said, "We come in peace. We wish to speak with Earth's leaders." The UN quickly called an emergency meeting. Leaders from all over the world flew in as fast as they could. They argued about what to do, but in the end, they agreed to talk to the aliens. Jun-ho, a calm and smart diplomat from South Korea, was chosen to speak for Earth. He was good at talking to people from different cultures, but this was way beyond anything he had done before. The aliens said they would send a small ship down to meet at the UN building. Everyone waited nervously. Police and soldiers surrounded the area, though nobody knew if their guns would work against aliens. Finally, a small, sleek ship landed in front of the UN. It was so quiet that people barely noticed it arrive. A door opened, and out stepped 3 aliens. They looked almost human, but not quite. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They wore simple white clothes that seemed to glow softly. The lead alien stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Cal, ambassador of the Galactic Confederation. We greet you in peace." Jun-ho bowed back, trying to stay calm. "I am Jun-ho, speaking on behalf of Earth. We welcome you in peace as well." The aliens were invited inside the UN building. As they walked, they looked around with curiosity. Jun-ho noticed that they seemed amused by things like door handles and light switches. In the big meeting room, leaders from all over the world waited. Some looked excited, others looked scared. The aliens sat down at the table like it was the most normal thing in the world. Cal spoke first. "We have been watching your world for some time. We believe you are ready to join the galactic community." There were gasps and whispers around the room. Jun-ho leaned forward. "We are honored. What does this mean for Earth?" Cal smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. "It means many things. We will share knowledge with you. We will trade with you. But first, we must evaluate your level of technology." One of the other aliens pulled out a small device. It lit up and scanned the room. The alien looked at it and made a sound that might have been a laugh. Cal's smile grew bigger. "I see you still use electricity. How quaint. And your vehicles burn fossil fuels. Fascinating. It's been a long time since we've seen a civilization at this stage." Jun-ho felt his face get hot. He didn't like being laughed at. "We have made great progress in recent years. We have computers, space rockets, and..." Cal held up a hand. Yes. Very impressive, I'm sure, for a young species, but let me show you something." He tapped his wrist, and suddenly a 3D image appeared in the air. It showed a ship so big it made aircraft carriers look like toys. "This is a small warship in our fleet. We have millions of them." The room went silent. Everyone realized what this meant. Earth was very, very small compared to what was out there. Cal looked around the room. "Now shall we discuss the terms of Earth joining the Confederation? I assure you, we have much to offer a developing world like yours." Jun-ho took a deep breath. This was not going how he had hoped. The aliens weren't hostile, but they weren't friendly either. They saw Earth as a child, not an equal. As the meeting went on, Jun-ho tried to stand up for Earth, But every time he mentioned something humans were proud of, the aliens would chuckle or look bored. They clearly thought Earth was far behind them. By the end of the day, Jun-ho was tired and worried. The aliens had left, promising to return soon with a proposal for Earth. As he watched their ship take off, he couldn't help but wonder, was Earth ready for this? And what would happen if we said no to whatever the aliens wanted? He didn't know it yet, but far below the ground, in secret bases around the world, humans were working on something that would change everything. The aliens thought they knew all about Earth's technology. They were wrong. A week after the aliens first came to Earth, they returned. This time, they didn't just send a small ship. A huge fleet appeared in the sky, with ships so big they blocked out the sun in some places. People all over the world looked up and felt scared. The alien ambassador, Cal, asked for another meeting at the United Nations. But this time, he didn't act friendly at all. His smile was gone, and his eyes were cold. Jun-ho, the human diplomat, sat across from Cal in the big meeting room. He felt nervous, but he tried not to show it. Leaders from many countries were there too, waiting to hear what the aliens wanted. Cal stood up and looked around the room. "We have decided that Earth will join the Galactic Confederation," he said. "This is not a request. It is an order." The room exploded with angry shouts. Jun-ho raised his hand, trying to calm everyone down. "Ambassador Cal," he said, "we haven't agreed to join yet. We need time to think about it." Cal laughed, but it wasn't a nice laugh. "Think. What is there to think about? You have no choice. Your technology is like a child's toys compared to ours. We could destroy your whole planet in a day if we wanted to." People in the room gasped. Some looked angry, others looked scared. Jun-ho felt his heart beating fast, but he tried to stay calm. "What exactly do you want from us?" he asked. Cal's face got serious. "We want your resources. Your planet is rich in minerals we need. We will take what we want, and in return, we will let you live. Isn't that generous of us?" Now it was clear. The aliens weren't friends. They were bullies who wanted to steal from Earth. Jun-ho stood up. "We need time to discuss this," he said. "Can you give us a few days?" Cal nodded. "You have 3 days. Then we will take what we want, with or without your agreement." After the aliens left, the room was quiet for a long time. Then everyone started talking at once. Some people wanted to fight back. Others wanted to give the aliens what they wanted to avoid a war. In the middle of all this, a woman named Soo-jin stood up. She was the head of the UN Security Council and a former soldier. "We need to prepare for a fight," she said. "We can't let them push us around." But others disagreed. "How can we fight them?" Someone asked. "You saw their ships. We don't have anything that can match that." Soo-jin looked around the room. "Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But are we going to just give up without trying?" The argument went on for hours. In the end, they decided to put Earth's military forces on high alert. But they also agreed to keep talking to the aliens, hoping to find a peaceful solution. Jun-ho left the meeting feeling worried. He didn't want a war, but he also didn't want Earth to become a slave to alien bullies. As he walked out of the UN building, he saw people gathered in the streets. They were looking up at the sky, where the alien ships could be seen, big and scary. A young woman in the crowd saw Jun-ho and recognized him from the news. "What's going to happen?" she asked. "Are we going to be okay?" Jun-ho wished he could tell her everything would be fine. But he didn't know if that was true. "We're doing our best," he said. "Don't give up hope." As he walked away, Jun-ho thought about what Soo-jin had said. Did Earth really have a way to fight back? He remembered something he had heard once about a secret project the world's governments were working on together. But that was just a rumor, wasn't it? Meanwhile, high above Earth, the alien fleet was getting ready. More ships were arriving every hour. They formed a ring around the planet, like a net waiting to close. On the alien command ship, Cal was talking to his leaders. "The humans are scared," he said. They know they can't win. They'll give us what we want. But one of the other aliens didn't look so sure. Are we certain about their level of technology? She asked. Humans have surprised us before. Cal laughed. What could they possibly have that we haven't seen? Their strongest weapons are like toys to us. No, the Earth will be ours soon enough. As the aliens planned their next move, people on Earth were scared but not ready to give up. In secret bases around the world, scientists and soldiers were working day and night. They were getting ready for a fight that would decide the future of the whole planet. The clock was ticking. 3 days didn't seem like much time to save the world. But humans had done amazing things before when their backs were against the wall. Maybe, just maybe, they could do it again. As the world waited nervously for the aliens' deadline, something big was happening in a small coastal town. A car with dark windows drove up to an old house by the sea. 2 men in suits got out and knocked on the door. An old man opened it. He had gray hair and wrinkles, but his eyes were sharp. Admiral Tawan, one of the men asked. The old man nodded. I'm retired, he said. Whatever it is, I'm not interested. But the men didn't leave. Sir, the other one said, the world needs you. It's about Project Leviathan. Taewon's eyes got wide. He looked around quickly, then let the men inside. I thought that was just a dream, he said quietly. It's real, the first man said. And it's ready. We need you to command it. Far away, in a secret underground base, a young woman named Hyri was working hard. She was an engineer, one of the best in the world. Right now, she was looking at a big computer screen full of numbers and diagrams. How's it looking, Hyri? Her boss asked, walking up behind her. Hyri shook her head. The main engine is still unstable. We need more time. Her boss frowned. We don't have more time. The aliens gave us 3 days. We have less than 2 left. Hyri nodded, her face serious. I'll fix it. Somehow. Above ground, the world was getting ready for war. Tanks rolled through city streets. Planes flew in formation overhead. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. But everyone knew that Earth's weapons were no match for the alien ships. In New York, at the UN building, Jun-ho was in another meeting. Leaders from all over the world were arguing about what to do. We should surrender, one man said. It's better than being destroyed. Never, shouted another. We'll fight to the last man. Soo-jin, the head of the Security Council, stood up. We have another option, she said. Everyone got quiet and looked at her. It's called Project Leviathan. She pressed a button, and a big screen lit up. It showed something that looked impossible. A spaceship, bigger than anything humans had ever built. But this wasn't an alien ship. It was made on Earth, in secret. Is this real? Jun-ho asked, his eyes wide. Soo-jin nodded. It's very real. We've been working on it for years, hidden on the far side of the moon. It's not finished, but it's our best hope. Meanwhile, Admiral Ta-1 was being flown to a secret base. As the helicopter landed, he saw something that made his heart beat faster. A rocket, bigger than any he'd ever seen, ready to launch. Inside the base, people were running around, getting ready. Ta-1 was taken to a room where he put on a special suit. It looked like the ones astronauts wear, but more advanced. Sir, a young officer said, the ship is almost ready, but we're having engine trouble. Ta-1 nodded. Take me to the engineer in charge. In her workshop, Hyri was working as fast as she could. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't stop. Suddenly, she heard a voice behind her. What seems to be the problem, young lady? She turned around and saw an old man in a spacesuit. She recognized him from pictures. Admiral Ta-1, but you're retired. He smiled. Not anymore. Now tell me what's wrong with my ship. As Hyri explained the problem, Ta-1 listened carefully. Then he said something that surprised her. What if we reverse the polarity of the neutron flow? Hyri's eyes got big. That's crazy. But it might work. She turned back to her computer and started typing fast. Up in space, the alien fleet was getting ready. They thought Earth was defenseless. They had no idea what was coming. On the main alien ship, Cal was smiling. "Just a few more hours," he said. "Then Earth will be ours." But another alien looked worried. "Sir, we're picking up some strange readings from the far side of the moon." Cal frowned. "Probably just some old satellites." "Ignore it." Back on Earth, in the secret base, alarms started going off. Reed jumped up from her computer. "It works," she shouted. "The engine is stable." Admiral Taiwan nodded. "Good work. Now, let's go save the world." As he walked towards the launch pad, Taiwan felt nervous but excited. He had trained his whole life for this, even if he didn't know it. Now, humanity's fate rested on his shoulders. The countdown began. In New York, Jun-ho and Soo-jin watched on a big screen. Around the world, people looked up at the sky, wondering what would happen next. The aliens thought they knew everything about Earth's technology. They were about to get a big surprise. The day the aliens said they would attack finally came. People all over the world woke up scared, wondering what would happen. Would the aliens really attack? Could Earth fight back? In New York, at the United Nations building, Jun-ho and Soo-jin were in a big room full of screens. They could see the alien ships moving, getting ready to attack. "It's starting," Soo-jin said quietly. Jun-ho nodded, his face serious. Up in space, on the biggest alien ship, Cal was smiling. He thought this would be easy. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show these humans how weak they really are." All around Earth, alien ships started to move. They flew down towards the biggest cities, their weapons glowing with strange light. In London, people looked up and saw a huge alien ship over Big Ben. In Tokyo, another ship hovered over the tall buildings. In Rio de Janeiro, people on the beach ran as a ship appeared over the ocean. Then the aliens started to fire. Bright beams of light shot down from the ships. Where they hit, buildings exploded. Cars flipped over. Trees caught fire. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Earth's armies tried to fight back. Tanks fired their big guns. Planes flew up to attack the alien ships. Soldiers on the ground shot at the aliens with everything they had. But it wasn't working. The alien ships were protected by invisible shields. Earth's weapons couldn't hurt them. In the secret base, Admiral Taiwan watched all this on a big screen. His face was sad but determined. "It's time," he said. "Prepare Leviathan for launch." Engineers and soldiers ran around, getting everything ready. Hyrie was checking the engine one last time. "It's as ready as it'll ever be," she said. Taiwan nodded. "Good. You're coming with us. We might need you up there." Hyrie's eyes got big. She hadn't expected to go into space, but she nodded bravely. The Admiral and his crew got into Leviathan. It was huge inside, like a city in space. As they strapped in, Taiwan spoke to his team. "What we do today will decide the future of Earth. Let's show these aliens what humans can really do." Back on Earth, things were looking bad. The aliens were winning everywhere. Cities were burning. Earth's armies were being beaten. In New York, Jun-ho watched the screens with a heavy heart. "Maybe we should surrender," he said. "We're losing so many people." But Soo-jin shook her head. "Not yet. Look." She pointed at one of the screens. On the moon, something was happening. A big door was opening in the ground. Slowly, a huge ship began to rise out of the secret base. In space, one of the aliens saw it first. "Commander Cal," he shouted, "there's something coming from the moon." Cal laughed. "Probably just some little rocket. Ignore it." But the alien looked scared. "Sir, it's big. Really big." Now Cal looked too. His eyes got wide. That's impossible," he whispered. Leviathan was rising into space. It was huge, almost as big as the alien ships. But this was no alien ship. It was built by humans, in secret. Inside Leviathan, Admiral Tawan looked at his crew. "Battle stations," he said calmly. "Let's show them what we can do." Hyri sat at her station, watching the engine readings. Everything looked good. She took a deep breath, excited and scared at the same time. On Earth, people began to notice something new in the sky. At first, they thought it was another alien ship, but then they realized this one was fighting for Earth, not against it. In London, a woman pointed up. "Look," she shouted. People watched as Leviathan fired at an alien ship. The alien ship's shields flickered and died. In Tokyo, people cheered as they saw an alien ship try to run away from Leviathan. In Rio, the alien ship over the beach suddenly turned and flew away as Leviathan appeared. Back in New York, Jun-Ho and Soo-Jin were smiling for the first time in days. "It's working," Jun-Ho said. Soo-Jin nodded, her eyes shining. But the battle was far from over. There were still many alien ships, and Kao was angry now. "Destroy that human ship," he shouted to his fleet. "Use everything we have." The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. Leviathan was fighting bravely, but it was one ship against many. Could it really win against a whole alien fleet? Admiral Tawan gripped his chair as Leviathan shook from an alien hit. "Hold steady," he told his crew. "The real fight is just beginning." The space around Earth was full of flashing lights and explosions. Leviathan, Earth's secret weapon, was fighting hard against the alien fleet. But there were so many alien ships, it seemed like for every one Leviathan destroyed, two more appeared. Inside Leviathan, Admiral Tawan was staying calm. "Keep firing," he told his crew. "We need to protect Earth at all costs." Hyri, the young engineer, was working fast at her station. The ship shook as alien weapons hit it. "Admiral," she called out, "the main engine is getting hot. We can't keep this up for long." Tae-Won nodded. He knew they needed to do something big and fast. On the main alien ship, Cal was angry and confused. "How can one human ship fight so well?" he shouted. "Use our biggest weapons. Destroy it now." The alien ships started to gather together. They were going to attack Leviathan all at once. Back on Earth, people were watching the battle in the sky. In New York, Jun-Ho and Soo-Jin could see everything on their big screens. "Leviathan is in trouble," Soo-Jin said, worried. "It's one against too many." Jun-Ho thought hard. Then he had an idea. "What if it's not alone?" he asked. He picked up a phone and started making calls. Up in space, Admiral Tawan saw the alien ships coming together. He knew what was coming. "This is it," he said to his crew. "Get ready for their biggest attack." Hyri looked at her screens. The engine was almost too hot. The weapons were running low on power. Things looked bad. But then she noticed something strange. "Admiral," she said, "I'm picking up some new signals from Earth." Suddenly, the radio came to life. "This is the U.S. Air Force," a voice said. "We're on our way, Leviathan." Another voice joined in. "Chinese Space Force here. We've got your back." More and more voices came in. Countries all over the world were sending up every ship and plane they had. They were old and small compared to Leviathan, but there were a lot of them. Tae-Won smiled for the first time in hours. "Well done, Jun-Ho," he said quietly. The alien ships were just about to fire their big attack when hundreds of Earth ships appeared. Planes, rockets, and even old space shuttles flew towards the aliens. Cal couldn't believe his eyes. "What is this?" he shouted. "How do they have so many ships?" The Earth ships attacked from all sides. They were too small for the aliens' big weapons to hit easily, and while they didn't do much damage, they confused the aliens and broke up their attack. "Now's our chance," Tae-Won said to his crew. "Hyri, give the engine everything it's got. Weapons, prepare our secret weapon." Leviathan's biggest gun started to glow. It was something the aliens had never seen before. Hyrie held her breath as the engine temperature went higher and higher. Fire, Ta-1 ordered. A huge beam of energy shot out from Leviathan. It hit the middle of the alien fleet. For a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then, in a giant flash of light, 20 alien ships disappeared. Everyone, human and alien, stopped and stared. No one could believe what they had just seen. Cal's face was pale. "Retreat," he said quietly. Then louder, "Retreat. All ships, get out of here." The alien fleet started to run away. The smaller Earth ships chased them, cheering and shouting. On Leviathan, the crew was celebrating, but Hyrie looked worried. "Admiral," she said, "that big shot used almost all our power. The engine is shutting down to cool off." Ta-1 nodded. "You've done well," he said. "Let's hope the aliens don't realize we're helpless right now." Down on Earth, people were going crazy with happiness. They hugged each other in the streets. They danced and sang. In New York, Jun-Ho and Soo-Jin were smiling and shaking hands. "We did it," Jun-Ho said. "We really did it." But Soo-Jin looked serious. "We won the battle," she said. "But something tells me the war isn't over yet." As the sun set on Earth, Leviathan floated quietly in space. It had won a great victory. But as Ta-1 looked at the stars, he wondered what would happen next. The aliens now knew Earth wasn't weak. What would they do about it? For now, though, Earth could celebrate. Against all odds, humanity had stood up to the stars and won. A week after the big space battle, Earth was still celebrating. People everywhere were talking about Leviathan and how it had saved the world. But for the people in charge, there was no time to rest. In a big room at the United Nations, Jun-Ho and Soo-Jin were meeting with leaders from all over the world. They were trying to figure out what to do next. "The aliens will come back," Soo-Jin said. "We need to be ready." Jun-Ho nodded. "But how? Leviathan is amazing, but it's just one ship." Meanwhile, up in space, Leviathan was floating near the moon. Inside, Admiral Ta-1 and his crew were working hard to fix the damage from the battle. Hyrie, the young engineer, was checking the engine. She frowned as she looked at her computer. "Admiral," she called out, "we have a problem." Ta-1 walked over. "What is it?" Hyrie pointed to her screen. "The main gun, the one that destroyed all those alien ships. We can't fire it again. It used up a special fuel, and we don't have any more." Ta-1's face got serious. "Can we make more of this fuel?" Hyrie shook her head. "Not here. We need a special lab on Earth, and it will take time." Just then, an alarm went off. One of the crew members shouted, "Admiral, we're picking up a signal. It's from the alien fleet." Everyone got quiet. Ta-1 went to the main screen. "Put it through," he said. The screen lit up, showing Cal, the alien commander. He didn't look happy. "Humans," he said, "you have surprised us. We did not think you could fight back so well." Ta-1 stood tall. "We are stronger than you thought," he said. Cal nodded. "Yes, we see that now. But do not think you have won. We will return with a bigger fleet. You have 1 Earth month to surrender. If you do not, we will destroy your entire planet." The screen went dark. Everyone on Leviathan looked worried. Back on Earth, Jun-Ho and Soo-Jin got the news about the alien message. They told the other leaders. 1 month? Someone said. "How can we get ready in 1 month?" Soo-Jin stood up. "We have to try. We've shown what we can do when we work together. Now we need to do it again, but bigger." Jun-Ho agreed. "We'll need more ships like Leviathan, and better weapons, and we need to train more people to fight in space." The leaders started to argue about what to do. Some wanted to try to talk to the aliens again. Others wanted to focus only on defense. It was getting loud and angry. Suddenly, the door opened. Admiral Taiwan walked in, with Hyri behind him. Everyone got quiet. "I have news," Taiwan said. He told them about Leviathan's special fuel problem. "We need to make more, or our best weapon won't work." The room was silent. Then Hyri stepped forward. "I have an idea," she said quietly. Everyone looked at her. She seemed nervous but kept talking. "The fuel we need. I think we can make it from the alien ships we destroyed. If we can get the pieces, I might be able to figure it out." The leaders looked at each other. Junho smiled. "That's a great idea," he said. "But how do we get the alien ship pieces? They're floating in space." Su-jin stood up. "We'll need to work together again. Every country with a space program can help. We'll gather the alien ship parts and bring them to Earth." Tae-won nodded. "Leviathan can guard the operation. We may not be able to fire our main gun, but we can still fight." For the first time since the alien message, people in the room started to look hopeful. They began to make plans. Junho looked around the room. "We've got a lot of work to do," he said. "But I think we can do it. We've already done the impossible once. Now we just have to do it again." As the meeting went on, plans were made. Ships would be built. Weapons would be made. People would be trained. And out in space, the search for alien ship parts would begin. The next few weeks would be hard. Everyone would have to work together. But Earth had a chance. A small chance, but a real one. As night fell, Leviathan began its patrol around Earth. On the ground, factories started running day and night. And in labs all over the world, scientists began to study the alien technology. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Earth was getting ready. The aliens thought they had given humans an impossible task, but they were about to learn, once again, that humans could do the impossible. The month given by the aliens was almost over. Earth had been busy every single day, getting ready for the big fight that was coming. All around the world, new ships like Leviathan were being built. They weren't as big or strong, but there were many of them. People from different countries worked together, sharing what they knew to make the ships better. In her lab, Hyri had been working day and night. She hadn't slept much, but she didn't care. She was trying to make the special fuel for Leviathan's big gun. It was hard work, but she wouldn't give up. One day, just a week before the aliens were supposed to come back, Hyri jumped up from her computer. "I did it," she shouted. "It works." The news spread fast. Junho and Su-jin told all the world leaders. Admiral Taiwan got the message on Leviathan. Everyone felt a little bit better. They had a chance now. Up in space, Leviathan and the new ships were getting into position. They formed a big circle around Earth, ready to protect it. Admiral Taiwan looked at his crew. "Whatever happens," he said, "we've already won. We've shown what humans can do when we work together." On the day the aliens said they would come, everyone on Earth was nervous. People looked up at the sky, waiting and wondering. Then, right on time, the alien ships appeared. There were more of them this time, hundreds and hundreds of ships. They filled the sky like dark clouds. On the biggest alien ship, Cal looked at Earth with angry eyes. "Foolish humans," he said. "They think they can fight us." He turned to his crew. "Prepare to attack. Show no mercy." But before the aliens could attack, something happened that surprised everyone. All of Earth's ships turned on special lights. These lights were so bright that they lit up space like 1,000 suns. The alien ships' computers got confused. They couldn't see where to shoot. While the aliens were trying to fix their computers, Earth made its move. Leviathan led the attack, firing its big gun. The special fuel worked perfectly. 5 alien ships disappeared in a flash of light. The other Earth ships joined in. They were smaller, but there were so many of them. They flew around the alien ships, shooting and dodging. Cal couldn't believe what he was seeing. "How?" he shouted. "How are they doing this?" The battle was big and loud. Lights flashed in the sky as ships from both sides were hit. But slowly, something became clear. Earth was winning. More and more alien ships were destroyed or ran away. After hours of fighting, Cal knew it was over. "Retreat," he said in a sad voice. "Retreat and do not come back." As the alien ships flew away, people on Earth cheered. They had won again. In New York, at the United Nations, Joan Ho and Soo Jin watched on the big screens. They smiled at each other. "We did it," Joan Ho said. "We really did it." Soo Jin nodded. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. The aliens know about us now. Other aliens might come too. We need to be ready." Joan Ho thought about this. "You're right," he said. "But look at what we've done. We've learned so much. We've built amazing ships. And most importantly, we've learned to work together." A few days later, there was a big meeting. Leaders from Earth met with some aliens who didn't want to fight. They talked about peace and working together. Admiral Taiwan and Hyri were there too. They showed the aliens around Leviathan. The aliens were surprised by how good it was. "We were wrong about you," one alien said. "We thought you were primitive, but you have shown us that technology isn't everything. Your strength is in your spirit and your ability to work together." As the meeting ended, Joan Ho looked out the window at Earth. It looked peaceful from space. "What do you think will happen now?" he asked Soo Jin. She smiled. "I don't know, but I think it's going to be exciting. We're not alone in the universe, and now we're ready to take our place among the stars." On Earth, people were already thinking about the future. Schools were teaching about space and aliens. Scientists were studying the alien technology they had captured. And all over the world, children looked up at the stars and dreamed of adventures to come. The aliens had come to Earth thinking humans were weak. They left knowing that humanity was strong, clever, and ready for anything the universe might bring. A new era had begun, and Earth was ready to face it together.